Hello everyone, Christina here. Welcome to another live stream here at my YouTube channel. So happy you're here. Tonight we're going to be playing with the Layered Plaid Stencil Pack from my October release. I haven't had a chance to share any of the video footage that I recorded when I was making the samples for this month. So I thought, you know what, let's just make a bunch of plaid patterns together. I think that would be really, really fun. So we're going to go through, okay, first of all, housekeeping. I always forget to do this at the beginning of the video. I don't know how many of you saw my live stream with Jennifer last Wednesday, but we have a brand new class at Online Car Classes. We are doing a holiday class and it's next month in November. I think it starts on the 11th. However, I designed some products specifically for the class. Yeah, if you want to get more details on the class, go ahead and go to that link that I just put in the live chat, or I'll have it in the video description when I finish being live here. But all the details are over there. Gosh, it's going to be really fun. And they're almost sold out of the products that we have specifically for the class. They're almost sold out. I don't think they're sold out quite yet, but odds are they probably will sell out. Concord & Ninth does have more on order from the manufacturer, but they're thinking that it will not arrive in time to ship them out to you. So if you were on the fence in getting the products for the So Very Merry class, and you were thinking you might want to use them for class itself, you might want to order that sooner rather than later. Just a heads up. Also, my watercolor class that I'm teaching over at Village of Inspired People is coming up this Wednesday. You can get into this private Facebook group for as little as about $15 a month. You can one-click cancel whenever you'd like to. If you just want to get in to see my class, you definitely can. Yeah, there's info down below, and let's get going. Okay, so here's one of the plaids that I created, and I haven't actually cut it apart or used it on anything yet, so I wanted to show you all how it turned out. I found that the best way to use these layered plaid stencils was with a type of ink that, you know, is more transparent or translucent and that layers really well. So Distress inks were the inks in my craft room that performed best. And I think it's because Distress inks do not have any of those smoothing agents in them. It really soaks into the paper. Whereas my other inks that I love and use, like the ones from Simon Says Stamp or Concord & Ninth or you know, anything like that, those have smoothing agents. So when you layer them on top of each other, it's almost like there's got a little bit of an opaqueness to them, and they don't show like the overlapping, like where you see these two overlap and then you get a slightly darker pink. It doesn't do that, or it doesn't do it as much. And with these layered plaid stencils, I really wanted to play up the fact that you can overlap them. So when you use the layered plaid stencil pack, I find it best to use something like a Distress ink. You can always like test it with different inks in your stash, but I found that Distress inks tend to work best. So for one of my plaids tonight, I'm planning to do a little bit of embossing powder. I'm going to add a gold line, like the really thin lines right here that are in the dark purple. I'm actually going to do those in embossing powder. So I'm going to do the rest of that plaid first so that it can dry as much as possible, and then we'll come in and do the embossed layer. Okay, so I'm going to start out with some cardstocks that are cut to 6x6. This is the color Sprout from Concord & Ninth. And I've cut them to be 6x6 just so I can maximize the entirety of the stencils. And also so that, hold on, stuff's falling off. I've got things stacked. Okay, there we go. And also so that when I use the stencils, I can just line them up with the edge of the cardstock. Let me zoom in here. Okay, so for this stencil set, or for this plaid, let's see, what one did I want to do? I think I'm going to do this one. Well, first of all, I've got two colors of green that I'm going to do my ink blending with. I've got Peeled Paint and Rustic Wilderness on top of this Sprout. So it's going to be a more monochromatic green plaid. And then I'm going to have a gold embossed line. So I think I'm going to use this like the larger stripe. That's going to lay down quite a bit of color. It's the same stripe as this wide stripe right here. That's this, actually, is that the same one? I think that is. Yeah, that's the same one. Stencil 1. So we're going to start with stencil 1. Now I have already put a little bit of pixie spray on the back. There's just a little bit of tackiness. And I find that for a couple of these stencils in particular, I believe it's stencil 1 and also stencil 3. You can see they're kind of like labeled up here. There's stencil 3. I did need to put pixie spray on the back of these stencils, but the other two, stencils 2 and 4, they work just fine without pixie spray. Just to hold this in place, and I'm only going to tape just a little bit on that edge. That's just going to hold everything in place. And then I'll take stencil 1 and I'll line that up. Bring that in. Okay. And then I'm going to take a little bit of this tape and I'm going to tape the stencil down as well. That's just going to help hold things in place. I'm going to start with my lighter of my two greens. So I'm going to start with peeled paint. And I'm actually going to like hold it down as I start to do my ink blending. And I want to have a slightly lighter application. I got it a little dark in that top corner, but that's okay. The likelihood of me actually using that section of this pattern are pretty low. So I'm going to make sure I kind of tap off my blending brush before I bring it in. Keeping very light pressure. We just want just a little bit of that color. All right, so there's my first one. Okay, I'm gonna peel this up. You can see how it gives just enough of that tone on tone look. And then I'm going to turn my stencil and we'll get this other direction. I'm gonna start blending in this other direction. Once again, I'm gonna tap off and then come in and start doing my ink blending. Okay. All right, and let's remove this stencil. Oh, that's great. You can see where it kind of starts to overlap and get that cool pattern. I have a spray bottle filled with rubbing alcohol. And I find that that's the easiest way to clean your stencils. So I'm just going to spray it. And then I can use a microfiber cloth just to wipe down the stencil. That takes off all of that distress ink. And then it dries the stencil really, really fast. This is what pixie spray looks like if you've been looking for it. There we go. My second stencil. So this is stencil 4. Now for these little itty bitty lines, I find that using a smaller blending brush works best. And also, you know, something like this, like a mini blending brush from Altenew. And then doing like a pouncing up and down motion. So I'm going to use Rustic Wilderness. These are regular distress inks. All right, let's see how dark that's going to be. Just kind of pouncing up and down and going in the direction of the stripe. I find that that works best. You're going to get the most precise application, and it's not going to creep under the edge at all. Okay. I'll lift up this stencil. Oh, that's so great. I love green plaids. I don't do green plaid enough. I'm always, like for the holidays, I tend to do red plaids, but green always looks so good too. Also, I apologize for like having no videos, like edited videos over the last few weeks. I have been slammed with things I have to do, getting ready for class and you know, designing and whatnot. And the holiday card series, which starts Friday, which is crazy. Like, I was trying to get ahead and like film a bunch. So I finally have day one video almost done, edited. I have to do the voiceover, but it's just, you know, I'm trying to work ahead and it's taken some time. But starting Friday, you're going to be getting 3 videos a week regularly, like normal for the holiday card series. So, and hopefully by working ahead, I won't have any issues. Okay, let's remove this stencil. Oh, I love that. It's giving St. Patrick's Day. And I think once we add the gold to it, it's going to be giving even more St. Patrick's Day. Okay, I'm going to spray the stencil with some alcohol, rubbing alcohol. And then wiping it down with a microfiber cloth. And it just cleans the stencil really, really fast. All right, so we're going to set this particular plaid aside. Like I said, we're going to let it dry more. And then we'll come back to it. Now we're going to get some white cardstock. Once again, cut to 6 by 6. And we're going to go for a rainbow plaid. All right, so for this plaid, I'm going to be using 4 colors. I've got Picked Raspberry, Squeezed Lemonade, Mermaid Lagoon, and Wilted Violet. So these will mix and create an orange. These will mix and create green. And then I just didn't want to have to do Picked Raspberry up at the top, so I just picked purple. But we're going to start with Picked Raspberry, and we're just going to have it go kind of at a diagonal. So I'm going to start with the Picked Raspberry in this bottom corner. Okay. All right, big reveal. Oh, I love that. Looks so good. Got a little bit of pink ink right there. I'm not sure what that's about. So for my last one, we're just going to do like a really simple, kind of like a buffalo plaid. I'm starting out with powder cardstock from Concord and Ninth. It's just a nice pale blue. I'm thinking we're just going to do a really simple buffalo plaid. So I'm actually going to use that same stencil we were just using, the stencil 3. Okay, I'm going to use Faded Jeans. I thought it was just like a blue tone on tone would be really, really pretty. Let's see how this one fared. Oh, I love that. Oh, it cannot even handle it. Focus, camera, focus. Camera, are we okay with that now? My camera is being very particular tonight. Let's go back and finish that green one from earlier. And I already know this isn't going to be dry, so I'm going to hit it with my heat tool. Okay, let's test this out. I'm going to take my anti-static powder tool, and I'm just going to apply it over the entire area. And we're going to test it with embossing powder before we do anything, because you want to make sure that everything is completely dry. It's looking pretty good. You're going to want to do both directions of the stripes first before applying the embossing powder. So you're not going to see where your first one is because it's going to be clear. I mean, I guess you could use like a pigment ink or something, but yeah. So now we're using, this is stencil number 2. You see that? Stencil 2. And then I have a lovely little blending brush that's my dear friend Sika, who's in the chat tonight. She put a little clear rhinestone or clear gem on top to let me know this is designated for Versamark. So basically I'm just pouncing and going in the direction of the stripe. And I don't entirely know exactly where it's been applied, although I can see the glare of the ink on my stencil. So I can kind of see how far I am. I found that like doing like a circular motion with my blending brushes just moved this little tiny stripe a bit too much. So doing like a stippling, pouncing motion worked a whole lot better. Pick up the stencil. Can't see anything yet. And you really want to like, you don't want to really move it around too much once you've moved it, because you don't want to possibly disturb that Versamark. Getting this pounced in there just a little bit more. Okay. Yes, the Versamark will stay wet long enough to go both directions. And you want to do it this way because if you already have that line of embossing powder, it will make the stencil not sit flush on the paper, and then you might not get as good of an application. Ask me how I know. I tried it with paste and it did not work well. Oh yeah, that's going to be great. I'll have to tap it on from the back over a garbage can just because this is like a really big piece of paper and I think it would be really messy otherwise. I've got one corner, this corner right here is just got a little too much embossing powder. Actually, is that just ink blending? Oh no, that is embossing powder. Okay. Okay. I think that was worth it, all that extra to get that. And if you wanted to, you could actually do the other direction as well. Like, you know, slide the stencil over and get, oh my word, it really doesn't like these plaids. You could slide the stencil over and get the other ones too, but I like having these that are kind of by themselves there. I think it looks kind of cool. So here are the finished plaids. We had this one that I had done before, but I used the same plaids, but with different colors and also that gold embossing for this pattern right here. I also did this on a colored cardstock. This was on Sprout cardstock from Concord and Ninth. And then this one I started out with white cardstock. So you can see how those compare. And then we've got a rainbow plaid. Super fun. I love how that one turned out. So fun. Kind of a more generic. It doesn't have to be for holiday or anything like that. And then this nice, just simple blue kind of gingham plaid, or a buffalo plaid, if you could almost call it. I love that so much. It's so fun. So these were all created using my layered plaid stencil pack that was included. Let's see, put these back together. That was in my October release. There's a link down below in the video description if you want to check those out. I think it's a very reasonably priced stencil set, especially for all the options you can get with it. And you get 4 stencils. So I hope you'll check that out. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you all on Friday for day 1 of the holiday card series. Hope to see you there. Thank you.